Hey everybody, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics, and this is the Primary Weapon Systems PCC-9. The pistol caliber carbine is very popular right now, and for good reason. It's relatively inexpensive to shoot, pretty modular, makes for a good pistol, or you can even go the SBR route. But these days, with the plethora of braces that are on the market, there isn't as many reasons to SBR as there used to be. Of course, that's a debatable topic. But most PCCs accept most of your AR-centric accessories, which also makes it a very versatile platform. And let's just be honest, it's fun to shoot. They're fun to shoot, which is why I'm glad that Primary Weapon Systems finally got around to putting out a pistol caliber carbine, the PCC-9. For full disclosure, Primary Weapon Systems is a sponsor of mine, so this is not a review. It's merely an informational to say, hey, this thing exists. They sent one of these out to me to check out, and I've been very, very impressed. I'm not a huge fan, generally speaking, of pistol caliber rifles, such as submachine guns. A true submachine gun means select fire, but people use the colloquial definition of submachine gun to mean any rifle-y type thing that shoots a pistol caliber, regardless of if it's select fire or not. Although if you want to be super specific, SMG has to be select fire, but that's kind of beside the point. Whereas the AR-centric PCCs, the AR-centric submachine guns, if you will, tend to be a hybrid of the two systems, giving you the ability, most of them the ability to use especially AR-centric triggers. And the PCC is no different. I can throw any AR trigger I want into this thing and it's going to run great. There are some design differences when it comes to this particular platform, and the biggest one has always been the magazine, or one of the biggest ones I should say, has always been the magazine. Which magazines to use? Well, Glock makes a wide degree, or a wide variety I should say, of magazines in multiple capacities that can mimic what you'd get out of an AR platform, such as Glock's 32-33 rounder stick mags, or happy sticks, or whatever the hell you want to call them. And that's a great starting point. But then you get into the issue of, in design, is it going to lock back on the last round fired? Is it going to lock back on an empty magazine, which some of the PCCs out there do not. I'm happy to report the PCC does, and does very well and very consistently. Now, I'm pretty particular with the magazines that I use, so I'm pretty much almost all Glock and all Magpul magazines. However, I do have a few ETS magazines floating around that I use for force on force, and I was curious to see if it would function just as well with those, and it does. So that's good to know. It's going to lock back on your last round, which is something that's very useful when it comes time to reloading the firearm. It removes a step, and it lets you know your firearm's out of ammunition if you're paying attention, or if you notice, before you get that extra needless trigger press in. Another cool feature of the PCC-9 is the very generously flared magazine well, which is great for pistol mags. Pistol mags can lend themselves very well to catching on the edges of magazine wells, mostly in handguns, because the grip is going to be relatively just slightly wider in diameter than the magazine itself, based on the way that the firearm works. But with other PCCs I've used in the past, the magazine wells could be a, no pun intended, sticking point, or maybe pun intended, take it how you want, when it came to reloading, because of the way pistol magazines are slightly different in their design and nature than what you're going to get from a rifle magazine. Of course, that's always debatable, but Primary Weapon Systems and design of the PCC-9 just went ahead and went kind of, I wouldn't say overboard, but they definitely gave you a very generous magazine well, which is a really cool feature. Next, and it's something I'm probably the most impressed with on the PCC-9, is the Pcc Compensator. They went ahead and made a purpose-built muzzle device for the PCC, which is cool, because if you've never shot one, a submachine gun or a PCC, the recoil impulse of a handgun round when shouldered is a little bit different than what you're probably used to when shooting like an AR in 5.56 or 300 blackout. It's not more recoil, it's just different recoil. And it's nice to have a compensating device on the muzzle, especially with the shorter versions, to help mitigate some of that irregularity and recoil that you're not necessarily used to coming from a rifle platform. As far as magazine compatibility goes, it is Glock-centric, and it accepts Glock 19, Glock 17, and on up in magazine size. 19 obviously being the smallest magazine that you're going to be able to put in the PCC-9 and have it function. I did try a 26 mag, and just like I suspected, no, it does not work. But 19 and above, you're going to be good to go with whatever magazine you choose to use in that capacity size. It does include PWS's ratcheting castle nut, which has a QD on it, as well as their pistol buffer tube if you get the 9-inch. The 16-inch is going to have that rear QD as well. I bring up the rear QD specifically because some of the braces out there do not have QDs on them for sling attachment, because they're pistol braces for your arm, not stocks, right? But anyway, having that there is pretty useful, because now I don't have to add an extra part or drill a hole in my stock or drill a hole in my brace, or change out my brace for something else, because like I said, there's very few braces out there that have QDs on them. So I'm able to throw a sling on it, because if you're going to carry around a carbine length device, pistol or not, it's always nice to have a sling. A bit of a departure for PWS, but it totally makes sense. This thing is not piston operated. As much as I wanted to see them do a piston operated 9mm, it's blowback operated. So part interchangeability is going to be limited, carrying over from the AR platform to the PCC. So you're not going to have 100% parts commonality, for obvious reasons. Two totally different calibers, two totally different operating systems. That being said, it's a pistol and it's a 9mm, and it's really, really fun to shoot. So if you are interested in getting into a pistol caliber carbine just for the fun of it, or for competition purposes, or if you're going to use it as a dedicated home defense or truck gun or whatever, but if you're interested in that category, definitely take a look at the PCC 9. I'm really, really digging it. I'm Aaron Count with Stage Dynamics. Train accordingly.